Welcome to this explainer. Pull up a chair and sit right next to me. Imagine you're looking through my eyes right now. We are sitting at a modern examiner's desk, and the glow of an interactive digital screen is lighting up the room. Right in front of us, Cambridge Arabic 9680 AS and A-level scripts are continuously loading via the portal, one after the other. If you look up at the top right corner of the interface, you'll see a live counter ticking up. It says scripts marked today, 142. Right next to it is a mark verification meter hovering tightly at 98%. It's late, the coffee is getting cold, but the focus has to remain absolutely razor sharp. Today, we are pulling back the curtain. We are going to look exactly at what an examiner experiences while marking these scripts, highlighting the precise split-second moments an answer climbs into those top-tier marking bands or, sadly, drops into failing thresholds. If you want to know how a veteran chief examiner really reads your paper, how we hunt for marks, and what makes us reach for the top grades, you are in the exact right place. Let's get to work. Okay, let's dive into this, because this is absolutely crucial. The principal examiner reports consistently highlight one massive stumbling block, year after year. It's Set Text 2025, Section 1, Tarikh al Adab al Arabi Volumes 1 and 4. Students open the exam, they see these rich, profoundly complex historical literary texts, and honestly, they just panic. They completely freeze. And what happens when a candidate panics? They dump information. They abandon their essay structure, they start listing everything they memorized, and they completely miss the marks. This specific section frequently traps candidates because they treat it like a memory test rather than a strict analytical exercise. But today, we are going to systematically solve this. We are going to fix this misunderstanding right now by looking at the exact academic benchmarks Cambridge demands. No more guesswork, no more hoping you wrote enough pages, just pure, precise, strategic marking methodology. Here is our structural blueprint for the session. We are going to mirror the exact logic and systematic processing that Cambridge examiners demand. 1. Core assessment objectives. 2. The technical marking methodology. 3. Evaluating critical analysis. And 4. Avoiding top examiner traps. We're keeping it incredibly focused. Section 1. Core assessment objectives. Or, as I like to call it, what the examiner actually wants to see in the first 15 seconds. Listen closely because this is where the game is won or lost. When a high-tariff, multi-part Cambridge past paper question loads onto my marking interface, I am hunting for foundational benchmarks, and I do this within the first 15 seconds of scanning your response. I call it the 15-second structure scan. If I don't see the architecture of your argument in that first quarter minute, you are already fighting an uphill battle, and my digital red pen is waiting. Every syllabus points to these three cognitive domains: knowledge and understanding, which is your AO1, analysis, which is AO2, and evaluation, which is AO3. Now let me introduce you to two archetypal students I see literally every single day on my screen. Let's call them student Alpha, we'll name him Alex, and student Beta, we'll name her Sam. Alex is our classic fact dumper. I'll load up Alex's script and it's just massive, unorganized paragraphs listing every historical date and author biography from Tarikh al Adab al Arabi Volume 1. Alex maxes out knowledge and understanding, but completely ignores the other two domains. As an examiner, it's exhausting. I have to search desperately, reading page after page, just to find a single analytical point. It slows down my mark per minute velocity, and quite frankly, it doesn't score well. Sam, on the other hand, writes with beautiful poetic flair. Sam evaluates how the literature makes her feel, but she dances completely around the core command word and provides almost zero factual evidence from Volume 4 to actually back up her thesis. The reality? This syllabus prioritizes analytical depth over superficial breadth. You absolutely must demonstrate mastery across all three of these domains simultaneously if you want that A star. Let's move to Section 2 and see how this actually builds into a score. The technical marking methodology. This is how you earn your method marks. There is a strict 5-step standardized sequence you need to follow to secure vital process marks. Remember, Cambridge isn't just grading your final conclusion, we are grading your systematic processing. Imagine a split-screen viewport right now. On one side is Alex, on the other is Sam. They are in a live study room, actively clashing, debating how to write a model response to a really complex question on Volume 4. Alex is digging his heels in, insisting, look, we have to list the textbook definitions of the literary movements line by line first. We need to show the examiner we know the facts. But Sam is shaking her head, arguing, no, Alex, without an evaluative thesis link right at the start, the examiner will penalize our script for lack of critical depth. It's a classic apprentice pure clash, and the truth is they are both partially right, but they are completely missing the required sequence. Step 1 is deconstruct the question. Are they asking you to discuss or evaluate? because discussed means you explore various perspectives. Evaluate demands a firm judgment based on evidence. Step 2 is apply the framework. Step 3 is execute with clear notation, meaning actually use the text. Step 4 is verify. Does your evidence actually answer the prompt, or are you just drifting off topic? And step 5 is present with correct terminology. If Alex and Sam stopped arguing and just followed this exact 5-step progression, they wouldn't be clashing. They'd be constructing an absolutely bulletproof, top-tier paragraph that an examiner could instantly reward. Before we get into Section 3, evaluating critical analysis, I'm going to push back from the marking desk for a second. Time out. Before I grade this final model paragraph and show you the mistake that costs thousands of candidates their A-star, let's secure your own academic trajectory. Hit the subscribe button for Ace the Exams, that's at Ace the Exams, right now, and turn on all notifications. Whether you are sitting for IGCSE, O-Levels, AS, or A-Levels, this is your direct channel to outsmart the marking desk. Okay, let's get back to the scripts. Let's look at this screen. Our students Alex and Sam have hit a massive logical roadblock mid-argument. Their evidence has suddenly stopped supporting their conclusion and their paragraph is falling apart. As the examiner, I step in using a picture-in-picture mentality to deploy the Peel structure: point, evidence, explain, link. We use this to flawlessly reconnect the argument string. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it perfectly contrasts a mid-tier descriptive data dump with a top-band evaluative response. If Alex writes, the author used this specific poetic meter in Volume 1, that is purely descriptive. It's a fact. It earns a baseline mark, maybe a C or D tier response. But an evaluative level response, an A-star response, says something like, while the author utilized this traditional poetic meter, it was specifically adapted to challenge the prevailing political assumptions of the era, a perspective justified by the sudden shift in rhyme scheme in the third stanza. Do you hear the difference? It is night and day. The evaluative level questions assumptions, it considers the historical perspective, and it justifies the analytical decision with hard textual evidence. That is exactly the sentence structural choice that signals to me, the examiner, that a student is operating at the absolute highest tier. This matrix details exactly how a comparative analysis must be structured to satisfy higher-order assessment objectives, without losing focus. Comparative analysis is a massive part of SETText 2025. It's time for an interactive live marking audit. Let's do a 30-second data scan. If a question asks you to compare themes in volumes 1 and 4, you cannot just list similarities. Look at the table. You must identify both similarities and differences clearly. You must use appropriate comparative connectives, words like conversely, furthermore, or in contrast. You must support each comparison with hard data from the text. And crucially, your conclusion must evaluate their relative importance. Which theme is dominant and why? If you only extract facts, you fail the challenge. If you evaluate the weight of those facts against each other, you completely conquer the 30-second data scan that examiners use to filter out the top scripts from the average ones. Section 4. Avoiding top examiner traps. We are going to conduct a live marking audit of where candidates forfeit the most marks. I am holding up my digital grading pen right now. Through analyzing years of data, poring over thousands of scripts, we have extracted exactly 3 universal mistakes directly from examiner grading logs. There are exactly 3. These are the traps that catch even the most prepared students when they face the immense pressure of the exam hall. Let's do a spot the penalty exercise. Let's break down these 3 major pitfalls with my digital red marker. First, using the wrong approach for the wrong context. Imagine our student Sam writes a beautifully emotional essay about a poem in Volume 4. But the question explicitly asked for an analysis of the political context. That is the wrong approach. The penalty? 0 marks for analysis, no matter how beautifully it's written. Second, forgetting strict format and presentation conventions. Cambridge heavily emphasizes proper headings, clear annotations, and beautifully structured paragraphs. If you give me a solid, monolithic block of text with no breaks, my mark per minute velocity drops to a crawl, I get frustrated trying to find your points, and your structural marks simply vanish. Third, writing answers that are not specific to the context given. Let me be clear. General, pre-memorized essays are instantly recognizable to an examiner. If you write an answer that could apply to literally any poem in the book, rather than the specific one printed on your exam paper, you are bleeding vital context marks. So, the crucial point is this absolute penalty, the confusing terminology trap. Examiners report that candidates consistently confuse key literary and historical terminology within Tarikh al Adab al Arabi. You might throw in a highly complex Arabic literary term to impress the marking desk, but here's the catch. If you deploy it incorrectly, or if you fail to clearly define it within the context of your argument, it actually damages your credibility. It breaks the illusion of mastery. The mandate from the examiners is clear. Always define your academic terms briefly before using them as the foundation of your extended responses. It proves to the examiner that you truly own the knowledge, rather than just parroting a textbook you read the night before.
Look at the screen. Alex and Sam have finally stopped arguing, they've applied the methodology, and they've assembled their completed, flawless response paragraph. As I run my final quality review pass over their work, everything clicks. I can confidently enter a perfect full-mark score into the Cambridge system. They succeeded because they internalized 3 universal marking truths. The 15-second structure scan, ensuring their argument was immediately visible. The mark permanent velocity rule, keeping their writing incredibly concise and on topic. And the final quality review pass, verifying every single piece of evidence. I want to leave you with this final high-impact thought to challenge your study habits. Look at your own past paper practice right now. Are your answers demonstrating true analytical depth? Or are you just giving the examiner a superficial breadth of memorized facts? The difference isn't just a few marks, it's the entire architecture of your grade. Make sure you subscribe to @AceTheExams, click the notification bell for weekly examiner breakdowns, and right now leave a comment below stating your subject, your qualification level, and your current target grade. Keep practicing, keep studying smart, and I'll see you at the marking desk.